Good morning. I think it's a good morning. We had a little bit of a kerfluffle here. Let's just adjust this a little bit. There. Good morning. There was a little bit of a challenge on my scheduling. I had scheduled this live as unlisted and it should have been listed. So I'm just waiting to see. There it is. To make sure it's listed. There it goes. All right. So today, isn't it nice when contrast happens? It's nice when contrast happens because it's nice when contrast happens if you know what's happening. And if you know what's happening, then contrast, what humans call negative experience, actually turns out to be quite positive. And it allows you an opportunity to appreciate the unfolding, because the unfolding is always perfect, isn't it? And so this contrast was really nice because it showed me that I had scheduled this live unpublished. And that's why it did not show up in your calendars if you catch these lives ahead of time. But I think most people aren't watching these lives live, so it doesn't matter. You're seeing it now, and I'm here now. So let's begin. In today's live, I'm going to talk about something that is extremely important, and really so few people understand what I'm going to talk about today. And I think you'll understand when we get to the end of this live how what I just said is so important, while at the same time so many people don't know about it, especially people who consider themselves practitioners of this you create your reality business, or the law of attraction, or other manifesting processes like the law of assumption, etc. And the reason why I know this is because there are many people who believe that this manifestation business doesn't work at all. And in order for them to have come to that conclusion, at least some of them have had to try to manifest something. And as a result of their trying, they fail. And then they conclude that this manifestation business doesn't work. But what's interesting is the title of this live, Manifestations Are Always Immediate, here's why we often miss them, is the reason why people aren't able to see when their manifestations have actually manifested. And that's why we're going to be talking about today one of the reasons why that is. And so, as always, I'm going to read to you what the expected learnings are from these live. These live videos that I give are instruction. This is the section of the Positively Focused YouTube channel where I offer fairly deep instruction on the fundamental principles underlying how spirituality works. Now, some of you may be able to hear these or watch these videos and get some results, but I suspect many of you will, if you're not already in the manifesting business, you'll have a difficult time trying to take what I'm sharing in these instructional videos and putting them into practical use in your life, because there's so much that is necessary to be understood before this kind of instruction can be ultimately beneficial. So if you're wanting to really benefit from this practice, from these videos that I'm sharing, if you're feeling inspired, please feel free to reach out and become a client. I have links in the description of my YouTube channel and in most of my Worthiness Wednesday episodes. I don't think I have links to become a client in this video, in my lives, because this is instruction. Okay, so let's jump into it. What you're going to learn today by the end of this live is you're going to learn why many miss their manifestations even though they're happening instantly. Did you know that all your manifestations are happening instantly? They are. by the end of this live, you're also going to understand how the universe acts as a projection screen, reflecting our desires back to us at every stage that we are ready to receive them in. That's a really good one. The third thing you're going to understand is what the concept of furthest forward means. This is the principle that I referred to in the beginning of this video that most people don't understand, this furthest forward concept, and why when they get a manifestation, they are oblivious to the fact that the manifestation has showed up in their life experience. And then lastly, you're going to learn how to use our instant manifestations furthest forward to amplify and receive the full-blown manifestations of our desires. By full-blown, what I mean is the most... This is interesting because English is so full of distortion. I might do a live about that, but what I'm thinking through right now is the furthest forward version of manifestation is the full-blown manifestation. I guess how I want to distinguish that from the full-blown manifestation I'm talking about here in point 4 is to say the version of the manifestation you're really wanting to have. Yeah, that's it. The version of the manifestation you're really wanting to have. Okay, so let's jump into it. This is going to be really good. So, your physical life, the world around you, is a manifestation. You think you come into this physical reality, and it sure looks like that. It looks like we come into this physical reality, like it already exists, and then we come into it through our parents. But what's really happening is that we are shifting our vibration in such a way that the perception of a physical reality becomes our reality. We're not coming into anything. We're projecting ourselves into a state, a vibrational state that allows us then to perceive. And the projection that we project ourselves into is nothing more than the outward expressed version of our interpretation of that which we're expecting to move into. And so your physical reality, the life you're experiencing day to day, is a projection. It's a projection on a screen. The screen is inside of you, as everything is, including your reality, and you're projecting your thoughts and beliefs about the things that are included in your physical reality outward into your experience. And so that is constantly going as long as you are choosing to be here. And yes, you are choosing to be here. No one said you had to be here. No one made you come here. This isn't some sort of cosmic accident or result of random processes. You are choosing to move yourself into a particular vibrational frequency in which this exists. And then when you get here, you begin experiencing your particular unique version of it. So life is your life experience, the world you see around you is a projection screen, and you get to say what shows up on that screen. And when you say what shows up on that screen, it is instantly presented to you. Now, let's talk about furthest forward. This is so good. Everything you're wanting, you're getting immediately. All your desires, you're getting immediately. But the version of what you want, when it shows up immediately, is not always the full-blown version that you're expecting to get. And this is why I call it the furthest forward version of your desire. Your manifestations are manifesting instantly, but you have to be lined up with the full-blown version of that which you desire. If you're not, what shows up instantly in your life experience is the furthest forward version of the desire you have. What do I mean by that? So I'm going to give several examples. The first one is all of these examples are either from my life or from my clients' lives. The first one I want to share is one of my newest clients who's transgender. She wants to be with a female, and she has been trying to use this manifestation business before she met me to do that. But she's had a terrible time because she did not understand the fundamental principles underlying manifestation. And so as she was trying to make this happen, trying to meet this girl, she found herself on several dating websites. And those dating websites, almost all of them in her description, were serving up to her more people who are trying to scam her than legitimate dates. Now, one particular scammer, I'm going to call her Cherry, according to my client, had so many things about her on paper. They had never met in person and never talked on the phone. But this person, Cherry, had so many things about her that resonated with my client that she felt that this person, it ended up being a scammer, but this person was everything that my client wanted. But this person also was obfuscating her personal details. She was not being fully transparent about some of the things that would distinguish her from being a scammer. Now, what's interesting about this, so this was my client, Cherry. Cherry was my client's furthest forward manifestation, an instant manifestation of her desire to have a partner. And the reason why Cherry was the furthest forward manifestation is because of the resistance that my client has about her desire to be with a woman. The resistance that she has is inherent in the beliefs she holds in her belief constellation. Now, quickly, a belief constellation is a series of beliefs that you have surrounding a given subject. These other beliefs, they form a constellation. I'm sure hopefully you know what a constellation is, those things in the sky that we have had almost forever, that we create these pictures in the sky by connecting stars. The belief constellation is the same way. It's a collection of beliefs around a given subject that then forms the picture of your life experience on that subject. And the other beliefs in the constellation don't have to be about that subject, but they're related enough in order to contribute to the picture you're experiencing. So my client's belief constellation on the subject of having a female partner included beliefs like, I'm too old. There aren't enough women who are interested in trans women. There are no women who are interested in trans women in my area. I have to have a large pool of available women in order to find the person that I'm wanting. The only way I can do that is on dating apps. The more dating apps I'm on, the bigger my pool. You see, these kinds of beliefs were initially making up her belief constellation, but then as she tried to make it happen, as she tried to take action to meet this person, she encountered the reasons. This is so good. She encountered the universe delivering to her evidence that showed her why trying to make it happen was not her job. Now, if you've listened to any of my Worthiness Wednesday videos or my other lives, you know that the when your manifestation is going to happen, and the how your manifestation is going to happen, those aren't your job. It's not your job to figure that out. That's the universe's job. Your job is to hold the desire of what you want as purely as you can, and then watch as the universe delivers that to you without any effort on your part. But here my client was trying to finding a partner happen by being on several different dating sites at the same time. So her belief constellation had her moving into this direction of trying to make it happen. And in her trying to make it happen, she was receiving the guidance from her broader perspective in the universe that was showing her why trying to make it happen wasn't going to work. And it wasn't working. And as that was happening, she was becoming more and more frustrated and more desperate about finding a partner, which made her a match to scammers. It's so good. So the furthest forward manifestation of her desire was the combination of her beliefs about why she has to try to make it happen, the combination of that, and her desire, her very strong desire bordering on desperation, which had her manifest for herself Cherry, who is reflecting back to her everything that she's a match to. This is exactly why so many people try to manifest something and then don't receive. It's there, but they don't receive the instant manifestation showing them where they are on the path toward what they really want. My client was receiving the furthest forward manifestation of her partner, which was this person, Cherry, who did in fact turn out to be a scammer, but who also demonstrated many of the characteristics that my client wanted in a partner, at least on paper. So your furthest forward manifestation of your desire it's always going to be there instantly. And it's always going to represent the combination of your beliefs on the subject of your desire and the collective resistance you have on the subject of receiving your desire. The full-blown manifestation, the one that you really want, exists in non-physical reality. And this is why it's so important to understand what desire feels like. Pure desire. What does pure desire feel like? Pure desire does not feel like not having what you desire. That's a paradox. I'm going to say it again. Pure desire does not mean feeling like you want something. Pure desire feels like alignment to having the thing you want. Desire feels like the presence of what you want. And when you're in that state, you are fully aligned with what it is you're wanting, combined right alongside the resistance you have relative to what you want. And so that's why manifestations are always instant, and that's why they first occur in non-physical, because you have to line up with the desire. And as you move toward the full-blown version of your desire, by soothing resistance, then you come more and more into alignment with that which you're wanting, which already exists. And when you fully line up with what it is you're wanting, you will realize it in your physical reality. You'll be guided to the time and space coordinates where that unfolding occurs. And in the meantime, you are constantly receiving the furthest forward version of that manifestation, whatever it happens to look like at the time. Here's another example, and I'm going to be doing a Worthiness Wednesday episode on this because it's a really good one. I have a client who's been with me for probably 6 years, and he struggles with the practice, the positively focused practice, because he has such dominant negative momentum on so many subjects. One of the things that he's wanting is to be recognized for his creative production, his creations in the field of music and theater. He's always been associated with the liberal arts, particularly theater and music, throughout his life. But because he's held extremely negative beliefs about himself, his creative output, and he also has a reliance on other people. He believes that other people are responsible for validating how good his creative output is, which is never a good never a good place to put your validation. Because of these things, because of his negative self-image, his belief that his stuff is not that good, and his desire to have it validated by external parties, he is highly resistant to getting what he wants, which is having people appreciate his output. Now, over the 6 years that he's worked with me, he's been soothing this, but it's been kind of like 2 steps forward, 1.5 steps back. Now, do the math. If you make 2 steps forward, but you take 1.5 steps back, you're still moving forward at a pace of 1/2 step per 2 steps, right? So this client, he's kind of in that state. He's making that kind of progress. It's very slow for him, and he struggles quite a bit with his wrestling with his own beliefs. So over the last 6 years or so, he's been soothing his resistance on everything I just said a minute ago. And the week before last, out of the blue, he didn't even recognize this as the furthest forward manifestation. And this was a pretty good freaking manifestation regarding what he had been wanting based on what I just told you. He comes to me, this was during Pride Week. He comes to me and he says it like this: "Oh, I just got hired by someone to produce a composition for his musical." And when he said that, he said it so nonchalantly, like it wasn't a big deal. And when he said it, my ears perked up. I was blown away by what he said, because this was a pretty far forward manifestation of what he wanted. This was evidence that he was coming more and more into alignment with what he wants, which is to be recognized for his creative output in the theater and musical arts. What had happened was he had met someone at Pride who he resonated with, who happened to be a playwright, and this person had created a musical, and he was looking for a composer, someone who could write music for the musical. And so this guy was out at Pride. He rendezvoused with my client rendezvoused with him, which was a manifestation of what my client wanted, and of course a manifestation of what the guy wanted, because he wanted someone like my client. And when they got together, they agreed that my client would produce the music for this musical. But my client didn't understand how big of a deal this was, because it was obvious evidence of someone willing to recognize my client monetarily. He was going to pay him monetarily for his creative output. But my client was dismissing it. And the reason why he was dismissing it, number one, is because he's still not in a state where he can fully appreciate the furthest forward version of his manifestations. What he really wants is to be recognized by the big movie houses. What he really wants is to have one of his movies bought by a theater company and then produced for the masses. But he's so far away from that vibrationally. What he's creating as the furthest forward manifestation, kind of finally, is this local playwright who's hiring him and willing to pay him to produce this musical score. Now, whenever you create the furthest forward version of your manifestation, it's always going to be a match to where you are vibrationally. With this client, the furthest forward manifestation for this client would never be him getting hired by MGM or by Steven Spielberg to write a musical score for that level of quality of film, because my client is nowhere near that ability yet. But this playwright that he met at Pride was totally at a perfect match. In fact, my client described the guy's play as needing a lot of work. And he said that he gave the playwright some feedback on how he needed to kind of rewrite the play. And the guy graciously accepted the feedback. And what my client didn't recognize is that his work needs a lot of work too. And so these two people, the playwright and my client, are a perfect match for each other at the level of skills. And there was no way my client could have found this guy. It was perfectly orchestrated as a manifestation for my client and a manifestation for this guy. This represents the furthest forward opportunity for my client to realize what he desires, given his current state of resistance, which includes his inability to appreciate genuinely his musical output. He believes his output is good, but he doesn't have a clear view of that because he's been so resistant to not getting recognized by the general public for his creative output that he's kind of arrogant about his work. He can't see it clearly. And so he believes it's great when in fact it's kind of okay. So this is the thing with regard to manifestation. You're always receiving manifestations. You're always getting what you want. But you're always getting the furthest forward version of it depending on where you are on the subject that you're wanting the desire fulfilled. And the furthest forward version is always giving you an indication of where you are relative to the balance between your pure desire, which I defined a minute ago, and your resistance on the subject of what you're wanting to manifest. Here's a real quick, common example. Let's say you want to buy a car, and you're really excited about buying the car, and you see a particular color that you would like the car in. You're looking at the catalog, or maybe you've watched online, or maybe you've seen a car like it on the road. The furthest forward manifestation, typically for someone who's looking to buy a car, is to begin seeing that kind of car in that color all over the place. That is a manifestation of your desire, the furthest forward version of it, relative to your ability to manifest, to be in alignment with receiving that car. So, just recapping what I said I was going to talk about. Number one, why many people miss their manifestations even though they're happening instantly. I just described that. It's because most people don't understand the concept of furthest forward manifestation, and so they don't amplify their ability to receive the full-blown desire that they have because they skip over the furthest forward manifestation, which is showing them where they are relative to what it is they're wanting. Number two, how the universe acts as a projection screen reflecting our desires back to us. I already described that at the beginning of this session, of this video. Your life experience is always reflecting back to you the combination of your belief and desire on any subject that you have desires for. And it's a great gauge to enable you to determine where you are on the path to what it is you want. If you're not getting the full-blown manifestation that you desire, you want to look for the furthest forward versions so you can, number one, amplify your alignment to the full-blown manifestation, and number two, understand where you are relative to the belief and desire combination that you have that's kind of holding it at bay. Number three, the concept of furthest forward. I talked about that pretty much in the whole second half of this video. So now let's wrap this up with a description of how to use our instant manifestations to amplify and receive the full-blown manifestation of our desires. So in the middle of this video, I talked about the nature of desire. I'm going to say again what that is. Desire does not feel like yearning. It does not feel like wanting really badly. Desire is the state of being that occurs when you perceive the pleasure of having something even though you don't physically have it. You're lined up vibrationally with the having of what it is you want. And the pure positive energy you feel, the pleasure, the satisfaction, the eager anticipation, that is the indication of pure desire. So when you get a furthest forward instant manifestation, whether it's seeing many cars of the kind you're wanting to buy, or it's meeting someone on your path to your lover who isn't quite everything you want but has some qualities that you want, or whether it's creating something that, or being hired by somebody to create something and they're not paying you that much but they are paying you. These aren't the moments to start complaining about why the furthest forward manifestation you're receiving isn't the full-blown manifestation. I'll say that again. This is not, when you get these kind of furthest forward manifestations, that's not the time to double down on not having the full-blown manifestation you want. It's the time to do the opposite. When you get these furthest forward manifestations, so I'm talking about number 4, how to use our instant manifestations to amplify and receive the full-blown manifestations of our desires. When you receive these furthest forward manifestations, that is the time to revel. That is the time to appreciate. That is the time to amplify your recognition that you have received a furthest forward version of the desire you have. It's a time to focus even more on soothing resistance you have about the full-blown manifestation, while at the same time amplifying your pure desire for the full-blown manifestation. So what does that look like? It looks like this. It looks like doing the opposite of what my client did when he received a contract to write music for the guy's musical. He could have started our session off with that as a kind of great news. He could talk about it to everybody. He could amplify his appreciation and excitement about it. He could be excited about it. He could be telling everybody about it. He could be writing about it on Facebook or on other social media. He could write in his journal about it. He could be thinking regularly over and over again about the wonderful rendezvous he had with this guy at the Pride Festival. So when you receive a furthest forward manifestation, you use it to amplify your alignment to the full-blown manifestation you desire. And you do that by appreciating, rampaging, amplifying the furthest forward version that you recognize. You don't let those slip. It's so good. And when you do that, you'll start receiving more furthest forward manifestations until before long, you're in the full-blown version of what it is you want. But if you get impatient somewhere along that path, then you delay the receiving because you're no longer aligned to it. You're aligned to the absence of it. And so you get more of the absence of it. It's so good. It's so good knowing this. Okay, so I fleshed out the four points I said I was going to share in this video. Now I want to give you homework. So it's been a while since I've given you homework. If you're interested in following along, most of these lives I've wanted to give you homework, but because you're not a client, I can't give you all the homework at once. Clients typically receive a homework assignment each week that they're to work on, which then amplifies their ability to realize how effective this You Create Your Reality business is. So far, what I've given people who are watching these videos, is the appreciation exercise, where you wake up in the morning and you look in your immediate surroundings and you say to yourself, you express to yourself I statements of how you appreciate the immediate things in your environment. Like, for example, you say, I really appreciate my bed and how warm it is. I really appreciate my sheets and how soft they are. I really appreciate my lover cuddling against me, like that. So the next exercise in my client practice that I give my clients is the positive aspects assignment. And it goes like this. After you do the appreciation exercise and you've gotten up and you've done your ablutions, your bathroom break, your shaving, or whatever it is you do in the morning, then you get a journal and you write down 3 subjects that you want to do the exercise on, 3 to 5 subjects. And then for each subject, you write down 3 to 5 statements that express positive aspects of that subject. So let's say you're going to do it on your dog. You write down 3 to 5 statements about your dog. He has soft fur. He loves me unconditionally. He loves to go on walks. He keeps me company, like that. Notice the difference between the appreciation exercise, where you're making I statements, and this exercise where you're talking specifically from the third person about that thing that you're describing without using an I perspective. That's very important. Now, the reason why you're doing these exercises is to train yourself into an awareness that everything in your life experience is worthy of appreciation. You're also developing a habit of seeing your life that way. You're also developing vibrational momentum that allows you to be able to see your life that way easier and easier. The transgender client I was talking about in this video earlier who met Cherry, she initially, after like her 5th session, she was asking me, she said that there was a voice behind her head who was saying, this is really hard work, this positively focused framework practice. This is really hard work. And I told her, I said, the work gets easier. The only reason why it's hard, I told her, is because you haven't lived your life this way. And like anything that you try for the first time, it's going to demand your attention. But as you begin to practice it more and more, it becomes second nature. And now, just last week, when we were talking about a manifestation she received, she was amazed at how easy it was for her to do it. And that's because she's practiced. So one of the other reasons for these daily practices is to develop within you a habit that then makes it second nature, it being your vibrational focus being at a very high frequency. So that's what these homework assignments are for from the Positively Focused practice. They're multi-level reasons why they're beneficial. Okay, I'm a little bit over on the time. I like to keep these 30 minutes. It's 36 minutes after. I'm going to end it here. I appreciate you watching, but I do this for myself as the spiritual teacher that I am, and the fulfillment of my intention of being in physical reality, which is to be an uplifter for others and demonstrate through my own example how we create our reality. And for now, I'm complete, and I'll see you in the next video.